In today's chess video, we are going to look at one of the most famous games in chess history. Played between Stepan Levitsky and Frank Marshall. This game is popularly known as Gold Coins Game, because it is believed that spectators showered gold coins after the final move by Marshall. Let's begin. Levitsky is playing as white, and Marshall is playing with the black pieces. Levitsky started with d4, Marshall played e6. Then comes e4, taking control of the center. Black played d5, transposing into the French defense. Then knight c3, defending e4. And then, Marshall comes up with an unusual looking move, pawn to c5. Actually, Marshall was quite famous for his opening tricks and traps, and this seems to be one of those gambits. But anyways, Levitsky didn't fall for it, and he continued with knight f3. Knight c6. White takes the pawn, black takes back. And then, Levitsky goes for bishop e2, preparing to castle. This seems like a slow move. A much aggressive move could have been bishop b5, pinning the knight, but white chose bishop e2 instead. Black develops his knight. White castles kingside, as expected. Now black plays bishop e7, preparing to castle. Then comes bishop g5, attacking the knight. Black castles kingside. Finally, white decides to take this pawn. Now, this d-pawn is under threat, therefore, black defends it with bishop e6. Then, white centralizes his knight. Bishop takes on c5, attacking the knight. Here, Levitsky took the bishop with his knight, which is not that great of a move, because after black takes with the pawn, he gets two powerful central pawns, and also this semi-open file for his rook, to attack the kingside. After this, white went for bishop g4, attacking this e6 pawn. Black cannot take with the knight, because it is pinned to the queen. Therefore, Marshall goes for queen d6, removing the pin and also defending this pawn. White saves his bishop, by moving it back to h3. Now, black brings his other rook into action, moving it to e8. Then, white goes for queen d2, connecting his rooks. Then bishop b4, pinning the knight, and threatening knight e4, which can lead to some very nasty attacks like these. Therefore, Levitsky decided to take the knight, and black recaptured with his rook. White brings his other rook into the game, and then comes queen c5, putting additional pressure on this knight. Now, white goes for a nice little tactical idea. He first plays queen to e2. Black takes with the bishop, pawn takes, and then queen takes. White sacrifices his pawn temporarily. On the next move, Levitsky regains his pawn, by taking with his rook. Now, black cannot take that rook, because that leads to a checkmate in the next few moves, just like this. Therefore, in this position, Marshall did not take the rook, and went for knight d4, attacking the queen. We have reached a critical point in the game, and here's where white blundered. The best move was queen e4, because it maintains pressure on this important e6 square, and also attacks the knight. Anyways, what Levitsky played in the game was queen h5, attacking the rook. This allowed black to simply double up his rooks on this dangerous f-file. Now, white's rook is in trouble, so he saves it by moving it to e5. Now Marshall decided to play rook h6, attacking the queen. For white, queen g4 is not a good option, because after the following move sequence, white loses this active rook. Therefore, in this position, Levitsky played queen g5. Now, fasten your seat belts, because we have two glorious moves coming up. First, Marshall took the bishop. Taking with the pawn would lead to disaster, because knight f3 is a family fork, and white loses his queen. Therefore, in this position, white tried rook to c5, attacking the queen. As you can see, black is completely dominating this game, and there are many ways in which he can finish things off. But, what was played was one of the most dramatic moves of the century, which awarded this game the title of American Beauty. Well, Marshall went for an epic, queen to g3, the most beautiful move that could have been played in this position. In fact, it is said that the spectators showered gold coins on the board after this move. This was the final blow, after which Levitsky resigned. Let's see why. Even though white had a lot of options, none of them actually work. Let's look at them one by one. See, black is threatening a checkmate on the next move with queen h2, so white has got to do something about it. If he takes the queen with the h-pawn, then knight e2 is straightaway checkmate. If he takes with the f-pawn, then again, it leads to a forced checkmate, just like this. If he looks to free up some squares for the king to escape, like rook b1 for example. Again it results in a checkmate, just like this. Going back, if he tries f4 to free this square for the king, Then black can go for knight e2, and ultimately, queen h2 to mate the white king, just like this. Another thing he could try is maybe queen e5, attacking this diagonal. But then, black can go for knight f3 check, king h1 is forced, and then rook h2 is a checkmate. Finally, you might think, what happens if white simply takes with the queen? Well, then comes knight e2 check. King h1 is forced. Then knight takes the queen with check. Taking with the h-pawn is obviously not possible. Taking with the f-pawn results in a checkmate like this. Therefore, white has to move his king. Again, knight e2 check, king h1, and now black can save his rook, to end up with an extra piece, which is a match-winning advantage. Now, it's your turn to solve a chess puzzle. White to move and win. What is the best move for white? Give your answers in the comments. Don't forget to leave your answer in the comments section. If you want to know, how will white win from this position, then check out the link in the description. Give a thumbs up, if you find this chess opening trap interesting. Don't forget to subscribe, and click that bell icon which will give you notification, every time I upload an interesting chess videos like this. See you all in the next video.